Coming up on Now See This. The family that hunts together doesn't always stay together. They call this ski run Delirium Dive.
Josh Main's going on in.
And now this skier knows why.
He's not stopped now.
And when a man tries to reinvent the wheel, he gets sent back to the drawing board the hard way. Cops go sliding.
Hard on the
Crooks
brakes.
go hiding.
Out. The key runs into that apartment building.
And skydivers are colliding. Think you've seen it all? Now see this. The small town of Maple Heights, Ohio, is at the mercy of a time bomb. A construction backhoe has broken through a water main. The spray then ruptured a natural gas line. Highly flammable natural gas is now pouring into the community. It will only take the smallest spark from almost any nearby source to ignite a disaster.
We have to make sure everybody's evacuated out of here.
There is a massive evacuation, but officers can't be absolutely sure that every last person is left. The determined firefighters head straight toward the heart of the threat, but they won't be able to get too close to it.
That we had a gas plume along with water and mud being expelled into the air approximately 40 to 50 feet.
It's a volatile cocktail, and they can only hope no one is still within range when it blows.
Oh my God. Oh my God, look at him.
It's an instant blast furnace.
Everybody stand back, get back.
Amazingly, this time bomb actually generates its own firing mechanism. The high volume of gas spews directly at a high voltage utility pole, and the friction of the gas and metal causes enough static electricity to create a spark.
That pole went up right in front of me.
Then the rest of the gas ignites.
Look at, oh my God, look at her.
The camera finally readjusts from a sudden blast of light. Chief Castellucci desperately tries to account for all his personnel.
Maple Card 2 to all units, report in.
First thing that went through my mind was, is everybody okay?
The fire is now burning at over 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit, and anything close is being incinerated. After a few tense moments, the chief gets word about his men.
Okay, everyone in the north synagogue by Henry, we're all okay. Everybody's okay.
Soon, over 100 firefighters from 11 different departments are on the scene. But beyond keeping immediate structures from catching fire, there's not much they can do.
Obviously, natural gas, we could not put it out. We didn't even attempt to put it out. You want the thing to burn until you can shut the valves off.
Still, the radiant heat is unbearable. This fire truck is over 275 feet away from the flames. Yet when they try to cool the vehicle down with a hose, the windshield can't handle the sudden change of temperature. Before the explosion, Patrolman Joseph Moxeron had driven his own car to the scene to direct traffic.
So I called my wife, who had just really gotten home from work, and I said, "Are you watching TV?" She said, "No." I go, "Well, if you turn on TV, you're gonna see our car go up in flames." So she goes, "Oh my God, that's my car."
The main gas valve is finally shut off, and firefighters can get a closer look at the damage. The inferno has turned the area into a wasteland. 10 buildings were damaged in the blaze, with as many vehicles destroyed. Patrolman Moxeron's car is unrecognizable.
Just a little Saturn 3-door coupe that I really liked. I know not to park a Saturn by high heat anymore.
Incredibly, not one person was injured.
We were so fortunate that day. I mean, I can't even begin to think of what could have happened.
What began as a simple construction accident quickly spiraled into a firestorm.
Oh my gosh, that pole went up right in front of me.
But thanks to a quick evacuation, the people of Maple Heights were long gone when that one little spark set off the time bomb in their own backyard.
Look at, oh my God, look at her.
For many young men, the first father and son hunting trip is a rite of passage. But there's no guarantee it'll be a safe passage.
The first thing that went through my mind was, I'd possibly killed or seriously injured my father.
Tony Bruno and his dad, Tony Sr., are in Alexander City, Alabama, on a quail hunting trip with friends. The elder Tony has brought along his camcorder to commemorate this inaugural outing.
My father doesn't videotape all the events we go on, but this was one of those father and son events that we thought was special, and it was the first time, for us both to go quail hunting.
Manning a 20-gauge shotgun, the 17-year-old Tony sets out while his dad follows with a camera. Specially trained dogs lead the men to the quail's dens, or cubbies. Once the hunters find the birds, they flush them out and fire. But to ensure that the men aren't shooting wildly at the same game, each hunter has a designated firing field.
The way it would work is we'd kick the quail up, and whichever way it went, and whoever's firing field it entered, that person took a shot at the bird and hopefully downed it. My firing field was from straight ahead to my right 90 degrees.
Tony Jr. is hunting like a pro, even though it's only his first time out.
Good shot, Tony.
Our shots were pretty on, and we were killing quite a few birds, and everything was going great.
Tony Sr. watches proudly through the lens as his son displays skilled marksmanship. But the father's pride for his son is about to lead him into dangerous territory.
Good shot, Tony.
After we had, hunted for quite some time, we noticed to the right a dog had found another cubby, so we proceeded to pursue that cubby.
Cubby pointed out over there.
Tony Sr. wants to get the best possible view of his son's hunt, so he stays behind as the group moves toward the cubby. The problem is, nobody realizes the cameraman isn't still following the group until it's too late. The quail gets away, but Tony Sr. is hit. He was standing right on the edge of young Tony's firing field.
The first shot was way off, and I knew it was, so I just immediately turned to my 90-degree cutoff point and tried to get my last shot off, and that just happened to be where my father was taking video.
The camera continues to roll as Tony's wounded dad stumbles backward.
I was just, so scared and didn't know what was happening. I wasn't sure he was hit until I saw him stagger down the hill, and when I got even closer, saw the blood streaming from his face. At that point, I knew that something had gone horribly wrong.
Tony Sr. will have to be rushed to the emergency room with pellets lodged in his face and chest. But even though he took a direct hit from a powerful gun, he survives. In fact, he may owe his life to the very thing that initially got him into trouble.
The camera actually deflected quite a few pellets. I just feel extremely lucky that he came out as well as he did, considering the circumstances where he could have easily been killed.
It started out as a day for father and son unity.
Good shot, Tony.
It almost ended with their permanent separation. But although this rite of passage took a wrong turn, Tony and his dad came out stronger on the other side.
It turned out to be positive. I think we both have more respect for each other now. I think we appreciate each other much more. Let you realize what you have and how easily it can be taken away if you're not careful.
Delirium. A temporary state of mental confusion accompanied by severe disorientation. Delirium Dive. A monster mountain in Banff, Canada, that's about to claim its next victim.
And making his way down is Josh Main.
With over 700 acres of stone-laden trails, even the most experienced skier can easily get lost in the rocky maze of Delirium Dive. Canadian Josh Main is one of those skiers. He has plenty of downhill experience, but this is the first time he's ever tried to take on this giant mountain. At the Kokanee Freeride Challenge, Main starts off well and swiftly makes his way down the primary trail. But when Main approaches a ledge, he's suddenly faced with a major decision. Turn back and try to reacquire the main trail, or carry on and try to tackle the most treacherous run on the mountain. Call it crazy or call it stupid, Maine trudges onward.
And Josh Main's going on in. Obviously, there was a shortage of brains when brains were handed out here. I don't know.
Maine struggles to keep his skis planted firmly in the snow at this steep of an angle. Controlling his descent is critical. The slightest slip-up could send him tumbling down the mountainside, or worse yet, trigger an avalanche.
Oh shit balls, he's going big.
But as Maine continues further down the hill, he soon realizes the terrifying predicament he's gotten himself into. He's skied his way into a corner, and the only way out is to take on a 100-foot cliff of solid rock.
So, Josh, what do you think you're going to do now?
After taking a moment to figure out his next move, Maine summons up enough courage to jump onto the landing.
All right, dropping in and just, I repeat, just hanging on to those rocks.
But his left ski pops loose and gets buried in a bed of snow.
He's lost a ski and managed to stop.
If Maine thought that this mountain was hard to tackle with both skis, he's going to find out it's impossible to take on with only one.
He's not stopped now. Oh, shit.
Just before falling, Maine tries to put the ski back on his left foot. But when he pushes off with his right leg, he slips, sending Maine plummeting over 100 feet.
Oh, shit.
His body slams against the rocky cliff, sending him cartwheeling to the trail below.
He's done. Is he okay? No.
All right, we got a competitor down here. He just fell off the cliff.
As the ski patrol reaches Maine, they see that he's alive, but there's no telling how badly he's been hurt. They take every precaution, strapping Maine securely to a stretcher before slowly guiding him down the mountain. At the hospital, emergency workers are amazed to find out that the fall has only snapped Maine's wrist and sliced a sizable gash in his right leg. He's hurting bad, but he's glad to be alive.
It was certainly nice. Very, like the whole time I was going down, I was like, please don't hit a rock. After I landed, I was very content with my outcome, except for my wrist, which I popped back.
Josh Maine tried to follow his own path to victory, but it was a road to nowhere.
So, Josh, what do you think you're going to do now?
Next time, Maine will plot a better course and make sure he doesn't fall victim to delirium again.
Oh, shit.
If necessity is the mother of invention, then Kerry McLean is its industrious father.
I don't sleep at night. I really don't sleep at night. I lay there and I think about all these crazy things to make.
Since the age of 5, this modern-day Edison has created over 100 crazy contraptions. But none of McLean's freewheeling inventions quite measure up to his latest creation, the Rocket Roadster.
This thing is crazier than any motorcycle.
In fact, it's a monocycle, and McLean used its much smaller predecessor to set the world's one-wheel land speed record at 53 miles an hour. But that was last year.
This is the extreme.
Yeah.
How fast do you think it will go?
Capable of probably 150, you know.
With a 225 horsepower V8 engine, this souped-up hula hoop is 5 times more powerful than its smaller cousin. There's only one problem. It lacks real road experience, a fact that changes today. Kerry has gathered friends and family in Farmington, Michigan to witness the monocycle's unveiling.
Well, Raj, what do you think?
Very interesting piece of equipment.
McLean makes one final check of the gauges, and then, like all the other fearless pioneers before him, sets out into the great unknown. Kerry starts out slowly, keeping the automobile under 25.
Get the motorcycle going behind him, see how fast he's going.
But as the inventor grows more confident with the machine, he decides to give it a little gas. A little too much. McLean almost loses his balance. Kerry decides to bring the motorized ring in for a little fine-tuning.
So, Kerry, how was it?
Well, it's not shifting, is it?
Luckily, mechanical tinkering is what McLean does best. After all, it only took him 3 months to build this brawny motorcycle in the first place. Before long, the giant wheel is tweaked and ready to go back on the road.
I better take it for another spin, huh?
But Curry is about to discover the hard way just how much work the Rocket Roadster still needs. Everything starts out fine. The donut's internal gyroscope keeps the motorcycle upright as McLean pushes it to its highest street speeds yet, 50 miles an hour. Curry breezes over the pavement, tossing a quick wave to his adoring fans. McLean's Rocket Roadster is proving to be the most innovative thing on the road, but it's not the only thing. Curry finds a mile-long straightaway and can't resist. It's open to through traffic, but the speed junkie decides to take the risk. He twists the throttle, then suddenly has to slow down for an oncoming motorist. The rapid deceleration causes the motorcycle to wobble. It never recovers. Normally, a crash like this might only dent the vehicle's rim, but in this vehicle, Curry is the rim, and he's more than dented. When the exhaust clears, the mechanic has a shattered shoulder blade, a bruised lung, several torn ligaments, countless scrapes and cuts, and 2 severely swollen eyes. It takes months to recover. But like a true inventor, as soon as he's able, McLean heads back to the drawing board to fix the kinks that almost cost him his life. Today's Rocket Roadster has rudders and a stabilizing fin. It is completely street legal, and because of its full-sized engine, it is actually registered as a car. Even though Curry's circular creation almost sent him to meet his own maker, he will continue to ride, knowing that when you try to reinvent the wheel, you're bound to hit a few roadblocks along the way. The thrill of skydiving is based on the law of gravity. The thrill of group skydiving is based on the laws of controlled chaos. To the untrained eye, this might seem like a sort of aerial anarchy, a no man's land of unfettered freefall. And to a certain extent, it is. But regardless of how things may look, there are codes to obey and rules to follow. Most of these jumpers are obeying those rules, staying within their lanes while plummeting through the sky. But with this much air traffic, there's bound to be some interference. Diver Mikey Meehan is preparing to deploy his chute, but when he flattens out, he swoops laterally, blindsiding Corey Prey, helmet first, like a linebacker. As the other skydivers hit the drop zone, they're still in disbelief.
Holy shit, did you see Corey get whacked, dude? Dude, he went to track away and hit Corey, man.
Corey Prey lands seconds behind them. A little worse for the wear, but thankfully still in one piece.
Corey, you all right, dude? He knocked the shit out of you.
My ribs are hurting, dude.
Dude, I know, he hit you like right there. I was like, damn, I hope he's all right, man. Well, at least you're all right. I mean,
Mikey Meehan will land uninjured, but that doesn't mean he's going to go unpunished.
So, Mike, how did you get in this predicament?
It's time to go.
The penalty is called a Joey, in honor of the first victim of this brand of vigilante justice. Cocooned in bungee cords, Mikey can only plead his case. Although they can all laugh about it now, Meehan gets the message. Safety comes first. And if he wants to avoid another Joey, he'll have to avoid pulling another Mikey. A stolen car and a fleeing suspect. It's a familiar scenario in Los Angeles, the car chase capital of America.
Another pursuit here in the Southland LAPD in pursuit of this stolen vehicle. One occupant driving very erratically.
But this pursuit is proving more dangerous than most and has the LAPD on high alert.
He's right around Dorsey High.
That's because the driver is attempting his getaway in a busy neighborhood of schools, hospitals, and shopping centers, where disaster looms at every turn.
There's a little bottleneck right there. He squeezes right through.
The suspect barely avoids a bike rider in an intersection, then forces an ambulance driver to hit the brakes. Suddenly, he puts hundreds of children at risk as he targets an elementary school just letting out.
Coming up, he seems to be circling this school. There's children off the right side. You see that right there?
Finally, he veers away from the school, zeroing in on a maze of nearby apartment buildings.
It is extremely narrow, the streets here. The suspect now coming to a stop sign there, runs right through it.
This neighborhood appears to be a familiar refuge, which may offer the suspect his only chance at escape.
He stops hard on the brakes. Suspect gets out. The car keeps rolling. He runs into that apartment building, and he runs around the back of it. We'll see where he's going. LAPD, of course, has helicopters overhead, so he's not really going to get far. You saw that helicopter come whizzing through your picture there.
Officers pour into the complex from all sides, forcing their prey back toward the street.
So now he continues to run. Let's see if he runs out of steam before the LAPD can get to him. That appears to be a fence that he's blocked in.
Now he's trapped. Cops close in from behind, while others tighten their perimeter.
Officers are now paralleling his course. They come in there, so it's a foot chase, and we'll see if the officers, he runs out of steam. It's over. They tackle him there under that tree. It's all over. The suspect is in custody.
Fortunately, this driver's reckless run through the heart of the city ends without a single casualty.
Code 4, it's all over. Nobody got hurt. That's the way we like to see it.
Now the driver's a passenger along for the ride, courtesy of the LAPD. For most people, the worst accident they can expect at the office is a paper cut. But most people aren't police officers. This smash-up was caused when the woman driving this car ignored the flashing lights and blaring sirens of a high-speed pursuit. But it's only one of the hazards you'll face when your office is on four wheels. In Plainfield, Indiana, police chased down a suspect whose tires have already been shredded by spike strips. But it's not slowing this guy down at all. That's because the truck is a rolling methamphetamine lab, and the driver, Tommy Mundy Jr., wants to stay in business as long as possible. Mundy leads a half-dozen police cruisers through a construction zone at high speed. Most of the cops make it through the maze of barriers and roadblocks. But when Officer Matt Murray veers off the beaten path, his attempt to regain position takes him out of the chase for good. When Murray strays into a construction zone, he's unaware that the barrels blocking his way are filled with over 500 pounds of sand. Although the officer is physically okay, his ego has taken a beating.
I'm okay, keep going. Yeah, he hit those barrels and filled up in front of me.
Moments later, the suspect is surrounded. It may have cost Officer Murray his pride, but the Plainfield police did their job and took this salesman out of business.
Negative, we're getting them on the ground now.
Although a police chase is the most obvious reason why a cop might get nailed, it's not the only reason. On this bone-chilling winter night in Avon, Ohio, a heavy layer of ice has crept up on the region. Residents are advised to stay off the roads, but officers have to be out on the beat, regardless of weather conditions. And this cruiser suddenly goes from patrolling the streets to sliding across them. The officer tries to regain control, but it's no use. One small slip of the wheel is all it takes for an officer to get swept away in a sea of black ice. Fortunately, this officer was driving slowly, having adjusted to the road conditions. But conditions can sometimes catch an officer by surprise. On a Saturday night in Peoria, Illinois, Officer Shannon Parnell is on his way across town to assist a fellow officer with a traffic stop. Although Parnell knows his turf like the back of his hand, he's going into an area that isn't so familiar. There's a major construction site just ahead, An entire freeway overpass is missing. But with no warning signs or barricades in place, Officer Parnell will drive past the point of no return without even knowing it. As the camera rolls, he suddenly plummets down into total darkness. Parnell's car falls over 20 feet, landing upside down. Police later pin this mishap on a blatant act of mindless vandalism. Someone had stolen the barricade with no consideration for the hazard they were creating. It took Officer Parnell out of the driver's seat and put him into the hospital with a shattered jaw that had to be wired shut. Whether cops fall victim to acts of God or acts of vandals, the action will always find them, so long as the office is out on the streets.